Welcome to the Industry Show. I'm your host, Nitin Bajaj, and joining me today is my very good friend, Shruthi Rao. Shruthi, welcome on the show.
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you for having me.
Pleasure is all ours. So let's get started with who is Shruthi?
Well, that's a fully loaded question. Shruti is a first generation immigrant from a small town in India, from Mysore, southern part of India. I'm a mother, I'm a builder, entrepreneur, a deal maker, and now a founder. My co-founder, Tim Wagner, and I founded Wendya. Wendya is a serverless distributed application platform. We started with a seed raise of 5 million last June, and we just 2 weeks ago completed our series A round, and we ended up raising 15 million. So we're very excited to tell our story and tell my story with you.
And you know, I've known you for a while, and I'm not surprised by the success. But by any standard, it's a phenomenal story going from seed to Series A in as quick as you guys have. So many congratulations once again. Really happy for you.
Thank you.
So tell us a little more about Wendya. What are you guys setting out to do, and at the scale and also the why.
Yeah, that's the most important thing, the why, and how did we come up here, and why did we choose this as the problem space to work on. So my co-founder, a little bit of a history, is my co-founder Tim Wagner started the serverless movement, founder of Lambda for AWS. It's one of the most widely used service at AWS. A lot of companies were born because of the serverless movement. We met at AWS. I was his business development lead, scaling serverless. And then he went to Coinbase, and I started the blockchain category for AWS. While I ran that business for AWS, I met 1,092 unique customers.
Wow.
I know, I counted as a true Amazonian data-driven company. I counted, people ask me that all the time. 1,092, exactly. Look, these customers, everything from auto to, let's say, oil and gas to airline, CPG, everyone in between, they were saying the same things for why they were looking to use blockchain, which was they were saying, look, we've invested in all of these data making mechanisms, IoT, mobile, edge, digital transformation. They were making data at a faster rate than they had ever done in their own lifetimes or their company's lifetimes, right? Which is true for any company you look at. And any big company has partners. So they're also making all of this data. With this AI, ML, analytics wave of this coming in, all of these companies had invested in some of these technologies, except the data that they were making was getting stuck in silos. Sometimes it's a partner silo, sometimes it's their own company silos. Some of their processes on Azure, some it's on GCP, some of it is on AWS or on-prem. So they didn't have access to all of the data that they were making in real time to do something with it. To do something could be supply chain optimization, tracking and tracing to find defects. It could be settling some airline transactions or loyalty points. So they were looking at blockchain as a solution. And almost everyone has heard that blockchain is expensive, it's complicated, it's slow, it's not production grade. So Tim and I said, how can we make it easy for customers to use and share data internally and across partners without worrying about all of this infrastructure? So our vision and what our customers are using today is, you walk up to a database and you say, you don't need to know how the database works. You don't need to be a database admin or a developer to see how it works. You say create table and come up with how the table looks. And then voila, the database gives you one table in one account in, let's say, one cloud. So you walk up to Wendya and you say, create a particular stack. We create compute, storage, and database for you for multiple parties in multiple accounts across multiple clouds. The easiest way I explain is we are an on-demand cross-cloud plumbing.
Mhm.
We are the plumbing for your data, and we get you the data in real time so you can do something with it. What you do is totally up to you.
Yep. And when I first heard this, it kind of blew my mind that this is not already possible, right? And when you shared that with me, that there is so much investment going on,
Mhm.
but the value is stuck, and
Right.
you're helping get that value out there. And no wonder the phenomenal success in the adoption, both from a product perspective but also from a funding perspective. So tell us a little more about who are you working with at this point in terms of unlocking the value of this data.
Yeah, we have quite a few customers. We have multiple multi-year contracts with these customers. One of the things that we can all resonate with is this animal welfare conglomerate called Best Friends Animal Society. They are a nonprofit. What they do is they work with 2,500 shelters in the U.S. Make sure that the dogs and the cats that are coming in are placed in homes, ensure that they are not euthanized or not killed because of overcapacity in these shelters. If a dog is lost, they help the dog get back to its owner or
Mhm,
get them readopted if no one comes to claim them. So their mission is no kill by 2025.
mhm,
No animal, dog, cat, horse, rabbits should not be euthanized because of human neglect. That is their mission. Now, let's look at these 2,500 partners that they have, right? These are shelters, foster care homes, veterinarian, folks like that who may or may not have an IT department. I will tell you, most of them don't have an IT department.
yeah.
Um, Also, they don't have a budget to
Mhm,
get this expensive ERP like software. Best Friends Animal Society does, but not their partners.
mhm,
Now, also, if you look at these shelters, who is working there? Volunteers. So you may work for 4 hours in a year, you may work for 400 hours in a year. There
mhm,
is no rhyme or reason when someone will come in and go out. So any technology that is developed should be very easily accessible by these low or no tech partners. It has to be based on not some multi-million dollar contract, but
mhm,
pay as you go format, because streaming services that we offer for a week, and then all of a sudden that particular week they have, let's say 50 dogs or cats that come in that needs to be
right.
placed. So if it has to be to this particular network, then it has to scale up or down very effectively. So just in under a month, Best Friends Animal Society was able to establish this network of these partners that they have, get a very lightweight app, a mobile app
Mhm,
going. So if someone, animal welfare worker, finds a dog or a cat on a street, it's very easy for them to input the details of their dog, their picture, the RFID, maybe if they have a dog or a cat collar, details on that, and help get data from other shelters as well on demand in real time, so that dog or cat can be, the owner can be found out who the owner is and returned to the owner, or effectively placed. Another very noble thing they also do is, if they find out that from the data and going through a ML model that they run, if they find out a particular shelter is getting to overcapacity and some animals need to be euthanized, what they do is they find other shelters that have availability to move the dogs and cats, thereby saving more animals. So now, look, just by having some extra data in real time, so many animals are being saved. So this is my favorite story. We have
mhm.
customers in automotive, airline industry as well, that have some innovation. But this, as a dog mom, this is very
Yes.
close to my heart.
And it's such a beautiful story. And what resonates with me coming from the tech side of the world is that you picked a really good example of these volunteers coming in and out, right? They're there one day, they're not there the other day. And if they're able to pick this up and maintain the consistency, it has to work with the more traditional forms of having dedicated teams and people working on something. So that's, again, kudos to the to you to build the product for these kind of use cases. Now, tell us something about, what is the biggest challenge you and your team are facing?
You know, it's a very interesting question because for a young startup, we're slightly under a year young.
Mhm.
Um, the biggest challenge would be recruiting or getting sales. Thankfully, we're very mission driven, so recruiting has been pretty straightforward for us so far. The biggest problem though is when we the ability to execute on the volume of deals coming in. As you said, this problem has existed since the Roman empires, right?
Mhm.
When Julius Caesar wanted to know where the particular corn came from, he asked a guy who asked a guy who asked another guy. And
Mhm.
then finally they found out it was a human chain, a human connected network. So this problem has existed. There are a lot of other forms of ERP based solutions. If you are two big companies and you can afford a multi-million dollar contract, you're set.
Mhm.
You already have a solution. But if you have a partner who is, let's say, logistics partners, trucking, delivery folks, you have warehouse workers, anyone who's low or no tech partners, then effectively you're left out. You have the Swiss cheese with holes in them.
Mhm.
Our biggest challenge right now, or the opportunity, if you look at it from the opposite side, is the volume of deals that we are coming in. And since we are a early stage startup, we are scrambling to execute on all the deals. So
Mhm.
there are more deals that we've held off than we have closed on, mostly because we're time constrained.
Right.
Good problem to have, but problem nonetheless.
Yes. True. And I also, my next question is really, what is the biggest opportunity? You alluded to it, but is there something that you guys are really looking forward to? Your company is very mission driven, but I'm curious to know if there is a further division in terms of an opportunity that you guys are looking to tackle.
Yeah, most definitely. Look, when blockchain became this big thing in
Mhm.
2017, when Bitcoin prices went up, they're back again now. But when the
Yeah.
Bitcoin prices went up, a lot of companies got started on, hey, we are X for distributed data.
Hmm.
And a lot of these companies have a lot of promise. Decentralized finance, where you need data from multiple parties, decentralized insurance management, something to the effect of, I'll give you an example. There is a startup that is using Wendya today. What they do is they get data from weather, CCTV cameras, traffic signals, other connected cars, take all of the data and then assess the propensity of fault.
Hmm.
That could not have been done without a distributed data sharing platform.
Right.
Traditional blockchains are just not fast enough to get that kind of
Mhm.
data. And you need to be able to support any kind of data, not just scalar data, right? So the opportunity here is there is a very easy, quick, easy, fast, and fun way
Mhm.
for these startups to build on a distributed data economy with what we're doing. And that's one of the most important things for us, apart from the top down kind of a sales motion. You know, we're a startup, we owe it to our investors to keep the revenue going, but it's also important to help the other startups go to market faster rather than build all of this infrastructure. So that's I would say is the number one opportunity we're looking to
Again,
capitalize on.
very exciting. Is there a lesson learned or a success uh, example that you would want to share with us?
Lesson learned success example. Yes. The one of the most beautiful things about being in a startup, especially in a startup where we are creating a new category, because if you talk to people and say, oh, where would you put us? Are we a database? Yes, but you're also something else.
True.
Are we a code sharing platform? Yes, but you're also something else, which also means that talking to investors was especially difficult. COVID did not help us,
Mhm.
having to do all of this on Zoom. But going to a customer and saying, look, we came up with this thesis where we're going to essentially build this serverless distributed application platform. And also, let me tell you, it was not as elegant when we started. We used to list out features as opposed to the outcomes to the
Right.
investors. uh, the biggest lesson learned for us is to go work with a customer and ask the customer to describe you as opposed to you describing yourself. If you are out there looking for any kind of a VC funding, that's the feedback I would give. And it could be not as technically savvy as you would describe yourself, but what the customer will describe you is will be 1,000x better than what you would describe yourself, especially if you're doing something very different from what's there in the market. That's the lessons learned, I would say.
That's wisdom right there.
I wish I had known this a year and a half ago. Things would have been much easier, but
Hey, a year and a half compared to never finding out or taking 15
right,
years, I think I'll take 1.5 years.
right. Yeah, for sure.
Let's switch gears and talk about you. And the way we want to do this is through a series of what I call one-line life lessons. So I'd urge you to share a few with us. And these are personal experiences or data points that you have either come up with or have come to you at a certain point in your personal or professional life that have helped shape and define you into what you have become today.
Sure. Okay, I go. The first one, uh, this is something that I use on a weekly basis. The first one I
Mhm.
would say is you are the story that you tell yourself. You are the story that you tell yourself.
Yeah.
If you tell yourself, I am I'm not worthy of a certain thing because I haven't gone to a certain school or gotten a certain degree or worked at AWS or GCP or insert your cool company unicorn here, or I didn't have this designation, or I need to lose 10 more pounds before I ask that girl out or a guy out. You are the story that you tell yourself.
Love it.
You are exactly where you're supposed to be because you're telling yourself that's where you are. And
Mhm.
so help you God. I mean, it's good and bad, right? That's the I read a lot about these imposter syndromes, and this is what I think of.
Yeah.
If you tell yourself you're an imposter, you probably are.
Yeah.
One. The second one, I learned from a good friend. And when I first read this, I thought, this just sounds like very hokey. But as I've gotten older, I've come to realize how effective and important this is. This is think a little less and live a little more. I
Hmm.
think this is especially true in the Valley, in the Silicon Valley, but this is true almost everywhere, is we are in this culture where you're supposed to be a thought leader. So even before leader, you're supposed to think in a certain way.
Yeah.
So this goes back to, you're the story that you tell yourself. If you're
Mhm.
overthinking this, and I'm not even saying overthink a little less, I'm just saying think a little less.
Yeah.
Stop thinking and start doing. Um, I've seen that most of the times when I have a oops moment is when I've spent too much time thinking and too little time doing. So thinking gets me in a lot of trouble. So try not to do it.
That's beautiful.
Um, you know, I learned this one partially from you in business school.
Hmm. Okay.
Uh, Learn the rules so you know how to break them.
I'm proud and I'm ashamed.
Yeah, well, I am very proud of you, and I'm very proud that I've gotten here. Is I think I grew up wanting to always break rules, and I've always broken rules and gotten into a lot of trouble. Think about this, right? Very ambitious girl in a small town, Mysore, in India. I did get into a lot of trouble, but
Hmm.
I used to break rules without understanding them. I think understanding the rules gives you this powerful foundational element, and then you can go break them, and you know what levers are there to
Yeah.
turn when things go sideways, and sometimes things do go sideways.
Yeah. But your why is the you figured out the why. and you're okay, and that's
Right.
your motivation to break the rule.
Right. Sometimes it's could be just cause.
Yep.
But then
Yep.
it went sideways, and
Yep.
because you were not too smart about it.
Yep.
So you know eh, next one for me is this is the basic thesis of the first principle. If you can't explain it simply, you just don't understand it enough.
Yes.
um it's so easy to get drawn into these complicated words and fancy new things, or new gadgets, new glittery shiny things that we all run after. um the dopamine hits. It's
Yeah.
easy to go there, but for me, first principles makes my life easy.
Hmm.
So I we talked about this, Nitin. um
Yeah.
I describe Vendia for me is like running a bakery.
Yeah.
You bake bread and you sell bread.
Hmm.
So we only want to work with folks who either bake bread or sell bread, ideally both.
Yes.
You can boil everything down to those two functions.
Hmm.
So that makes my life easier to understand. Again, this is also goes back to think a little less.
Yeah.
Boiling it down helps me think a little less. So I can be present in other parts of my life as
Mhm.
well, not just being an entrepreneur. So that's the last one. But look, this one I think takes the cake. This is the quote. Most of these quotes are borrowed anyway. This one is from Roosevelt's Man in the Arena.
Mhm.
It's a long quote, but for me, the credit belongs to the man or woman
Mhm.
who's actually in the arena. It's the age of the influencers. It's the age of um, the advocates, the
Mhm.
all kinds of folks who are cheering you on.
Mhm.
And it's very important that you have people. When I say influencers, I don't mean it negatively. Your
Right.
family is an influencer.
Mhm.
You have all of these people who are cheering you on. There are people who are egging you on too.
Sure.
But at the end of the day, as much as we tell folks to, hey, don't listen to the naysayers,
Mhm.
don't listen to the naysayers either.
Yes.
So I remember this some mythology story that my parents made me read when I was in high
Mhm.
school, uh, about this king who had this person walk behind him, keep whispering in his ears that you're only a man, you're only a man.
Yep.
So buying your own press
Mhm.
is also bad. So when you're in the arena, when you are actually doing it, just listen to yourself
Mm.
and be with yourself, and not having the outside influence guide you is very important. It's especially important when you raise around and then people are just like, oh, that's great. But when you don't raise around for 18 months, then people are like, oh, what happened? It's a yesterday's unicorn. It's
Right.
very easy to get into this hype cycle
Mm.
and lose focus. So, but having good friends around, which I count you as one of them, is
Mm.
also important to say, hey, now get
Yeah.
off your high horse. So that helps both ways. So
That
those
one
are
was deep.
my things.
That one was deep. 18 months gains you a lot of wisdom, bottom line.
Oh yeah, and a lot of sleepless nights too.
Of course. I mean, you're wearing multiple hats, right? So you're just not a mom, you're an entrepreneur, you're, you know, running so many ships at once, and doing it beautifully and with
Oh,
grace.
thank you. I appreciate that. Uh, this is the most fun I've had in anything I've done, and I've done some fun things, but this is the most fun I've had. I think this comes to me. Building is what is my calling. So
Yes.
that's what I want to keep doing, building.
Yep. And it seems, I know it's a lot of work, but it seems effortless in that sense. Because I can see the joy, the fun, and the reward of being able to build something and seeing those immediate returns that you see when you work with the customers. So again, really happy for you.
Thank you, Nitin. Thanks.
I know you're a really busy person, and I really appreciate you making the time to be with us today and sharing your stories and your vision for Wendya. We wish you continued success. And of course, I would continue to stay in touch and share your journey with our audience.
Thank you, Nitin. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
It's been our pleasure.